Okay, it's February 21st, 2023. Almost said 2021, 21, but no, it is February 23rd, February 21st, 2023. This is what happens when you don't make a video every day. You kind of lose track of time, and if you don't have a calendar or anything, it makes it a little difficult to keep up. So I didn't make a video yesterday on President's Day. The girls didn't have school, so I wasn't in the DigiByte. See, that makes it convenient for me because I can just, I'm in the car anyway. I'll turn the camera on and hey, we're good to go. Well, today I'm taking the extra effort of, which reminds me, I should mute my phone. I should have muted the one I'm on right now too. But it reminds me that I should mute my phone. No, I was going to say in the car, usually I'm in the car and I can, this is annoying. Everybody texts me at the same time now. Let's silence it. Oh, I can't even reach it with the, holy cow. This is a clown show. All right, I think I got it now, okay? A little rusty. It's been a few days. Friday was my last video. I did have the happy hour thing on Friday too. And I did have spaces that night, so it was a long night. Tend to wear myself out on Fridays and get too much crammed into it. But yesterday, as I said, I was not in the DigiBytes. And it looks like I'm not going to be in the DigiBytes much longer because we got some arrangements worked out to where one daughter takes the other daughter to school now, and so I work from home, so won't be in the car every morning regularly. So I have to take an effort now to do some work. I have to exert some proof of work and walk outside. And it's a little chilly today, as you can tell. I tend to stay pretty warm, but it's about 29 degrees right now, but there's a wind. And I thought I was in a good spot, but now it's hitting me over here. But that's okay. Yesterday was a really nice day. I should have come out and done it then. It was like 50 degrees, no wind, sunny. Oh, beautiful day. For February in Illinois, absolutely ridiculous. All right, you don't want to hear about all this anymore. Making a video today, so everybody that needs your Westwood fix, here it comes. I want to talk about probably the biggest thing on the news. That's quite a statement. But yesterday we had President's Day and we had our presider-in-chief, Joe Biden, was in Ukraine. Now, I don't know about any of you, but that doesn't sit well with me. We've got multiple issues in this country. We've got all kinds of things wrong. Not to mention, and this is, I don't know what to make of a lot of this, since the whole thing in East Palestine looks like Palestine. I don't know, is there a coincidence? Ohio, where we had the train derailment on February 3rd, I believe it was, might have been the 4th, and hasn't been a lot of news coverage until last week. The damage was basically done. They blew up the train, fire everywhere, smoke everywhere. Who knows what got polluted in the water and the soil, how long that will, if ever, will take to clean up. And you didn't have any, people from DC showing up, not seeing a whole lot. FEMA, the EPA, the president, nobody. And these people who are living there, what a disruption to your life. Well, just leave. Well, how are you going to just leave when the insurance company isn't giving you any money? You got to prove damages before they'll give you anything. Well, how do you prove damages when you don't have access to the testing kits and all this? And how do you prove damage to your home? All you know is when you go in there and you breathe the air, you start coughing, your eyes are watering, and you can't drink the water. So it's not necessarily, the house burned down and you got a fire claim. Whole different deal. So they're kind of in limbo. They're in a bad situation, and nobody's there to help. So at least give lip service to it. At least, make an appearance or send somebody there. Don't send Kamala, Lord. But, it's just, you've got that going on. You've got plants. What was it? A metal plant or something near Cleveland was on fire, explosions, and Chicago in the past 2 weekends, I think they've had major fires in plants. I don't know what they are, if they're food processing plants or, whatever it is. But we've had some major destruction going on around this country for a while now. Kind of started with the lumber mills. You saw it with, the chickens You saw farms getting, you know, burned up there, and there's a lot of industry getting burned up. Is it getting replaced? What impact does that have? So what kind of supply chain shortages are we looking at? I mean, it's almost like every day you look for the news, it's not reported on the mainstream, but every day you look, if you're following social media and independent news, you see these issues blowing up. And what's being done about it? Blowing up as the wind blows up, you know, sign from the universe. And it just seems like kind of not a good time to where we've got a president going over and pandering to a country in Eastern Europe and handing out billions. He said another 500 million yesterday. It's almost like he's the bag man. Hey, you know, I'm here to collect my 10% from the big guy. You know, he's got to go collect personally. Is almost what it looks like. And the absurdity of the theater. I don't care what you think's going on in Ukraine. Nobody knows 100%. All I know is that if Russia wanted to take him out and destroy him, they would have done it. Speaking of which, Russia has just said, you know what, we're not going to participate in the START treaty anymore. And that was kind of a limit on nuclear missiles, where they would be, where they're deployed, that kind of thing. Russia has said, nah, forget it. You know, we're not abiding by it. So you've got two sides. You got two narratives. You know, you've got the Western narrative that says that Russia's encroaching, and if Russia takes Ukraine, it's going to be like Hitler taking the Alsace-Lorraine and, you know, Sudetenland and off and taking over Europe. Next thing you know, Poland's invaded. I mean, that's the narrative. All of Europe's going to be destroyed by Russia if we don't stop them in Ukraine. All right. And then you've got the Russian narrative, you know, the Eastern narrative, let's call it. I mean, because you've got Russia and China kind of aligning here on this whole thing. Smoke my cigar here. This is an Olliv Serie V, one of my favorites. This is the Bellicoso. But you've got the Russian narrative and Putin coming out today, you know, talking about how, you know, the West is encroached. Ukraine has always been kind of the natural territory, has belonged with Russia in the former Soviet Union. It was part of it. It was the breadbasket of Russia, the Ukraine. That's the way it was always kind of referred to me growing up when I was, you know, in school. Produced a lot of food. And, you know, some things happened in 2014. Look up Victoria, I think her name is Victoria Nuland, and the Obama administration and what happened there, Poroshenko. A lot of the things, then you got clips of Biden saying, hey, this prosecutor needs to be fired or you're not getting money. And I don't know, the whole thing looks like a big racket. A dirty criminal enterprise is really what it looks like. And we've spent, I mean, some estimates say $200 billion, billion with a B, sending money over to Ukraine. I mean, and then we've got Biden talking last week, hey, we're going to support this and this infrastructure. We're going to make sure pensions are taken care of. And we're going to, and these are for Ukrainians. I'm thinking, oh, he's taking care of America. No, it's Ukraine. And I'm thinking, what is the real connection here? There's more to it than what we're seeing. There absolutely has to be. I have my own ideas, but, you know, it's up to everybody to do their own research. All I know is if I see what, you know, the president of the United States over there on President's Day in Ukraine, in Kiev, in the capital, in a war zone, and then here's the crazy thing. Of course, on cue, he's walking out with Zelensky, and you see the Biden walk. It's just that it's the old man don't fall down walk, you know, like the nursing home guy. It's like the guy in the nursing home without the walker. That's how Biden walks. But he's got his cool aviators on, man, because it's a Hollywood scripted scene here. So he's walking out there with Zelensky, who owns multiple properties, like a billionaire, multi-millionaire, whatever. Properties all over the place. Yet he walks around in the same outfit, this semi-quasi-military, you know, third world leader outfit. And they're walking out together in the center of Kiev, and the air raid sirens go off. You hear them in the background. I mean, come on. See, I'm talking too much. But, and then a CNN reporter, if you watch the clip, as he's reporting there, he says, well, I've been here 5 days in Ukraine and Kiev, and there have been no air raid sirens and no bombs until today, a half an hour ago, when Joe Biden was in the center of Kiev. So see, it's a big staged event to where it's like, we got Aviator Joe walking out there with little Zelensky, and they're in the middle, you know, not worried about it. You know, air raid sirens going off. They're just, you know, confronting the bad Putin guy, you know, and showing them, you know, how tough they are. They're not scared. Now, if these were real air raid sirens, see, they knew it was staged. They did it on purpose. That's why they weren't afraid. If they were real, everybody would have been scrambling for cover. And nobody wants to get hit with a freaking missile. But that wasn't the case because it was all staged. It was all rigged. It was all a big theatrical thing. And so you think, well, why are they doing this? What's the point in all this? It's a big show, and they want to get Europe involved in it. They want to escalate the war. They want to continue to use that as cover, because what do the bad guys do, these vampires? What do they do when things start to go south, when the economy tanks and the dollar's imploding? How do you maintain that dollar empire? Well, you start wars somewhere. Then you can start covering up, funneling money, and, you know, enriching yourselves and, you know, artificially stimulating things, meanwhile going more in debt. But we don't talk about the debt at that point because, oh, it's not important because there's war. We need to fight the war. You know, we're going to die. People are going to die. And it's just, they've done it over and over and over again. And to be honest, I'm kind of sick of it. Kind of sick of the same old game plan. It's getting too obvious. The script has been written, and they just keep rehashing it with different players and in different circumstances, different localities. But ultimately, it allows them to print money, create money out of nothing. That goes where? It goes into the pockets of somebody. Somebody's benefiting from this. Somebody with a lot of houses. I mean, look at Joe Biden. He's been a public servant. He's been a servant, all right. He served something. He's been a public servant. He's been in the Senate. I mean, he's been in Congress. He's been in the White House vice president, all that stuff for over 50 years. All right. And if you think the president makes like $400,000 a year, okay? He didn't make that as a senator. Let's just do an average and say he made $200,000 a year, which he didn't. What's that, $1 million bucks? No, that's a lot more than that. It's like 10 million. So $200,000 a year times 50. So like, yeah, maybe 10 million bucks. I don't know. Am I doing my math right? Yeah, 200,000 times 5 is $1 million. So $10 million, which there's no way in heck that's what happened. But because, you know, the average probably would have been under $100,000 a year. But anyway, and then he paid taxes on it though, remember, you know, he paid all his fair share. So, you know, it's a lot less than that. But let's say he made $10 million in office. Look at the properties that he owns. Look at the houses. He's always driving around in his Corvette, you know, with his aviators on, you know, where they had the classified files in the garage with the Corvette. Remember that? How does a guy like that become so wealthy? Look at all his mansions. Become so wealthy and able to sustain all that and live that lifestyle and have a son who gets all these sweetheart deals from all these Ukrainian entities, even Russian entities. Where's the real Russian collusion, huh? Joe. Where does he get all this money? It's through influence, and it's through, you know, hey, you know, we have a few wars over here, the money flows, and nobody knows where the money goes, but it goes into somebody's pocket. And you look at the people who have benefited. That's probably all you need to know. But I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that this is a guy who calls himself the President of the United States. I cannot believe that many people elected him, more votes than anyone ever in history. Absolutely hard to believe. Kind of like John Fetterman winning in Pennsylvania, a guy who is now suffering from clinical depression. We knew the guy was messed up. I mean, if you voted for him, how did you not know the guy was messed up? If you voted for Biden, how did you not know he was messed up? You could see that they were mentally not capable of carrying out the mission. But they got in office. And now, look at the results. So if you think this is reality, if you think this is, you know, the way things are, and it's truly a situation that everybody wants, I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Too many people here in the United States who need help. What would it take to finish the border wall? I mean, what, a few billion? And yet we've spent at least 130 billion in Ukraine and then some. Some estimates say 200 billion. We're protecting their borders. We're protecting their pensions, supposedly. And we've got the same issues here in the United States. Need an America First guy in office, not a 10% guy, you know, for the big guy first. So anyway, I'm not going to go much more on that. I've gone enough on that. Tomorrow, today's Fat Tuesday, baby. Gorge yourselves, because tomorrow comes the fast. Ash Wednesday. And you might see people walking around, you know, they got the ash, you know, it's usually in the form of a cross on their forehead. But Ash Wednesday and the Lent period, it's supposed to be a time of sacrifice, of, you know, thought, fasting, spiritual time, to where you give thanks and you ponder what Christ went through in the desert. That's kind of where it comes from. 40 days in the desert, you know, being confronted with the temptation of the devil, you know, fasting and, you know, giving up food. And you think, why did he do that? I think he did that, like everybody, why you fast. It's to become closer to your Creator. Because it opens up something in you. You know, when you do a fast or go through a cleanse, it will put you in a different mindset. It kind of opens up you know, your whole body, not just physically, spiritually, everything. Kind of get closer to, you know, the most pure things, as you cut out all the other stuff, you know, the ancillary things, and it's just like you're able to focus on purity of mind and spirit. So 40 days in the desert. And so we're celebrating that for the next, you know, roughly 6 weeks, roughly 40 days between now and, you know, Good Friday and Easter. And, you know, I never knew, I'm not Catholic or anything. I never knew, but I had a lot of friends who were, and they would give up things. And I'm like, what are they giving up? And nowadays the sacrifice, it comes down to this pretty much. I guess you're supposed to fast on Ash Wednesday and then Good Friday. And give up something. And most people I know growing up, they would give up meat. Well, they didn't give up meat for 40 days though. No, they only gave it up on Fridays. So like 6 days. I mean, in this whole period, but they could still eat fish. You know, and it never really made sense to me, because I'm like, meat's fish, right? I mean, it's muscle that moves it, and it's got eyeballs that look at you. I mean, isn't a fish meat? Made out of meat and muscle? So what makes that different than the cow? You know, I mean, why is beef meat and then fish isn't meat? So it was always a little confusing to me, you know, that it was such a great sacrifice to do that. So I guess on Fridays, you sacrifice the hamburger and you suffer with a lobster. Giving up a lot. It was always kind of funny to me, and it still is funny, to where it's a symbolic act, I guess, more than anything. But you know, sometimes it might be good. Go do the Raw 21 reboot. Raw 21 reboot. That Amy Weir and Bix is doing it again. I've done it before, and a lot of people in the crypto community have done it. Go do that. Because I think sometimes it's not just, you know, symbolizing, you know, taking action. It's actually taking action. I mean, Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. You know, can't we just maybe fast for real for, you know, 21 days? 15 days? I think Bix is doing it for 15 days because he just wants to get, you know, healthy again. I mean, can't we do 9 days? It just seems like we don't give up a lot anymore. We don't actually, we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. And it's really everything. You know, we wear our ribbons around, but what do we really do? Well, I care. You know, so I'm symbolizing, you know, something. And it's like, do we really know what it's like to go through hardship anymore? I know there are a lot of people out there suffering. I do. But it's always kind of bothered me. This is just me. It's just my opinion. You know, it's my rant. You want to rant? You know, turn on the camera. But it's always kind of bothered me that people want to give their, you know, a symbolic, you know, gesture rather than actually doing the right thing. Because behind it all, doing it and taking action is kind of the thing that changes you. You know, going out into the desert for 40 days is kind of something that enlightens you, kind of puts you in the right mindset. Doing a real fast, a real cleanse. Hey, give up meat. Give up meat on Fridays. Give up meat for 40 days. And then you'll really put yourself in a different mindset. I just don't see a lot of that happening nowadays. And, you know, so anyway, we're in that time where, you know, everybody's going to gorge themselves on Fat Tuesday today. And then tomorrow the purge begins, you know, the struggle is real. So I guess the good thing for me is what I always look forward to is that a lot of the restaurants are like completely meat-based, because I don't eat any meat, believe it or not. That's a whole thing, you know, with, I don't want to kill anything at this point in my life. So I just don't eat meat. You know, anything with eyeballs that can look at me, I tend to love on it more than I want to eat it. But, well, the good thing for me is it's like a lot of the restaurants now on Fridays, they're going to have, some vegetarian options usually. You know, instead of the, you know, the meat lasagna, they're going to have some just cheese lasagna. So I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can get something good at this restaurant, you know, because they never do that. You'll see McDonald's doing the Filet-O-Fish, you know, 2 for whatever, $10 now. I don't even know what it is. It used to be, what, 2 for 2, 2 for 3, 2 for 5, 2 for 6. Who knows what it is at this point? But you'll see a lot of the fish fillet meals, you know. We're going to suffer. I can't get that Big Mac today, honey, but I'm going to get a couple of those fish sandwiches. Loaded up with tartar sauce, baby. Yummy. But I'll have some of those fries cooked in lard. Well, I don't know if they do that anymore. Beef fat, whatever it is. I know, it's kind of funny. If you really start looking at things. If you really start, you know, retraining your brain to see things as they are, it puts you on maybe a different path. That's all I ask. You know, let's be truthful. Let's be honest with these things. You know. My dog's over here. I'm watching them get into stuff. But they're chained up, so they can't run away. But anyway, that's my rant for today. I suffered out in the cold so that everybody could get their fix of the Westwood rant. And, you know, hopefully I've delivered. Ultimately, it comes down to, with these things, I talked about two things that were kind of on my mind today with the Biden El Presidente movement going to Ukraine, and the lack of acknowledgement of the real problems in America. And then, you know, kind of the Lent led into more of symbolism over substance. And don't want to get all religious, but, you know, sometimes taking action is an important thing too. You know, what you believe in is important. Sometimes you got to put those beliefs into practice. You know, it's for the betterment of this world and leaving it better than you found it. And for the betterment of yourself. Because it does make a difference, and I can speak from experience, going through cleanses and fasts, and just doing something nice. It's better than believing or symbolizing that we're making a difference. Sometimes it's better to actually go out and make a difference in the world. So there you have it. That's all I got to say. Trust yourselves, though. It comes down to trusting yourself. And that's really the most important thing. Be true to who you are, know who you are, find who you are, understand who you are, look in. All the answers are there. Important to do that. And, you know, then you can come out and rant, you know, and think you know it all. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. It should be, oh man, it'll be raining tomorrow. Might have to go into the bar. Tonight I've got a podcast or some kind of I don't know if he's calling it a podcast. I don't know if it's I'm not sure what to expect. It's with Josh Lake, really cool dude I met. He's kind of behind the scenes on the road to Ruta, setting a lot of things up, made a great documentary on the road to Ruta road show tour that happened. I was fortunate to be a part of for a few events, and it's pretty cool. He's a really good dude. So when that video comes out, I'll mention it and point you to it so you can watch it. And I don't know what we're talking about. I guess we're going to find out. I'll just, unscripted as usual. So I look forward to that. That's good. He's a good dude, and he's starting to channel out. And then, yeah, we need people taking action and, you know, seeking out the truth and putting it out there. We need more voices to wake more people up so that people can find out who they really are. And we can shape this world in our own image. All right. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful Tuesday, and talk to you tomorrow sometime, maybe from the bar because it might be raining. All right, thanks for watching, and always trust yourselves. Always.